What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another BTD Gaming deck profile, and today we're going to be looking at Mathmechs. Now you're probably thinking, Mathmechs? That's so random, but this is an archetype where, it's been around for a while, and for the longest time people are saying, if this card just had the right support to it, if this deck just had like the right kind of support to it, maybe you can see it really making waves in the meta game, but that's not really happening. Well, now it is, because in the most recent set, Power of the Elements, we have a new Mathmech support card that is Mathmech Circular, and this card is insane. We'll get to that in a second, but Mathmechs, they're making some noise in the competitive Yu-Gi-Oh space as of late, and it's kind of a deck that came out of nowhere. Unless you've been living under a hole or you're not really into the competitive Yu-Gi-Oh sphere, right now we're in a format that, has some very strong decks. We like to use certain tier numbers. Some people have been throwing tier 0 around. We'll see. But right now, this format is looking a lot like a format like back in like Dragon Rulers, per se, or Dark Arm Dragon, or something like that. People are calling it a tier 0 format because of sprites, especially because of sprites, and because of tier elements. Now, and then you kind of have like the third deck there, which was Exo Sisters. Now, one thing a lot of these decks have in common, these top tier decks, is their price point. And boy, oh boy, are they expensive. Now, some people sit here and say that the Mathmech deck is budget. Kind of. Alright, a lot of the core pieces aren't that expensive, but some of the others that weren't reprinted have really spiked up in price. Cards like Mathmech Sigma or Mathmech Subtraction, Super Factorial, a lot of these Mathmech cards, even Mathmech Equation, a lot of these Mathmech cards that have not been reprinted have gone up in price quite a bit. Not obnoxiously expensive, but I would still say expensive enough to not be considered budget. Maybe people do call it budget today, and I just, just don't agree, but it's kind of on, I think, that bordering point of being budget. It's definitely the cheapest new competitive deck in this format, if you're not counting previous formats like Flunderies or anything like that, because I think this deck is probably surpassing these other decks. It's definitely one of the cheaper ones out there, but it's not, this is a 3 structure deck type deal. No, that's not what we're talking about here. You're still gonna have to shell out some dough for this particular deck, but it is still on the cheaper side compared to the others, so I guess that's good. Now, what's fun about the Mathmechs are that they're very easy to special summon themselves. You really just have to target another Mathmech on the field. Go through some link climbing plays with a lot of these Cyburst link monsters, some Xyz plays with their very strong Alambertian and Laplacian cards, and then their big boss monster, Final Sigma. So it gets a lot of use out of the extra deck, and there's also a lot of different ways to search the Mathmechs in this deck, and this main deck does have room to play a lot of hand traps. Now, what hand traps you play, that's up to you, and that's dependent on how you think this format is going, but this main deck does have a lot of room for that. And I will just say, for me, I don't even think this is my final build. This is the build I've been having the most success with, but there have been some other kind of tech choices I've wanted to try out, but I think this build in particular is a good solid starting point. So let's go through the card by card here. First, Mathmech Circular. This is the newest piece of Mathmech support, and this card, when they said Mathmech needs support to make it a meta viable threat, man, this was the card they were talking about. So this card is a Foolish Burial, which, oh, by the way, you can activate Mathmech Circular from the hand. This card is a Foolish Burial that you can use. You can send your Sigma and get your Sigma effect and all that. You can send it to your graveyard and special summon this card. But if you do that, this is something I missed when playing a duel. When you do that, you can only attack with one monster for the rest of the turn. Alright, I don't know if, yeah, that's one of the big stipulations on this. So, if you're trying to go for a big access code talker play, and you only have that one attack and you can't dome your opponent for game, make sure you keep that in mind. But Mathmech Circular is crazy. If a Mathmech monster is normal or special summoned to your field, while you control this monster, you can add one Mathmech spell trap from your deck to your hand. So a common line of play is Mathmech Circular. You send your Sigma, activate your Sigma to special summon to the field, which will activate Circular, and then you can add your Super Factorial, and then boom, you have one of your big blowout cards in your hand already. Yeah, Mathmech Circular is insane. It's exactly what this deck needed. Next, Mathmech Diameter. This is your normal summon. You can target a level 4 Cyberse monster in your graveyard and special summon it. It can't activate its effects, which doesn't really matter. A Mathmech monster that was Synchro or Xyz summon using this card on the field as material gains the following effect. Once per turn, during the turn this card was special summoned, when your opponent activates a card or effect, quick effect, you can negate that effect. You can only use each of Mathmech Diameter once per turn. This card's nuts. And there is going to become times you're using Mathmech Diameter as material for Synchro or Xyz summon. Boom, you have a negate on board. And some of these extra deck monsters can already do so much, you're essentially just adding a negate effect to them, which is crazy. Next, we have Mathmech Edition. Again, this is a piece where you can special summon it from the hand. And then you target a monster in the field, and that target monster gains 1,000 attack until the end of this turn. Now, the Edition can't attack, but there are monsters where you can really gain their attack and can do a ton of damage. Plus, it's another body on the board if you need to make other plays. We have Mathmech Subtraction. It's basically the same thing as Edition, but it takes away 1,000 attack till the end of the turn. Again, just another body to have on the field. We have two Mathmech Sigma. This is the card you're sending to the graveyard with either Mathmech Circular or Foolish Burial, and then it can special summon itself from the grave. Again, he's being used as material for your links or even your Xyz. So you have two of him because it's not awful to have in your hand, but you want him in the deck you can send with your Foolish Burial or your Circular. We have one Mathmech Multiplication and one Mathmech Nabla. Again, they can be used as bodies. So those are the Mathmech monsters. Next, we're going into the hand traps. Now, this is the part where you can do some tinkering. I have 3 Ash Blossom in here, pretty standard. 2 DD Crow. Now, DD Crow, some people are going to run 3 of DD Crow. I'm running 2 in this particular build. DD Crow looks like it's going to be very, very good this format because of all the shenanigans that can happen in your opponent's graveyard with sprites and tier elements. So DD Crow, I think, is a very important hand trap to main deck in really any deck in this format. We have 2 Effect Veiler and 2 Ghost Spell and Haunted Mansion. Again, a lot of this crap is happening in your opponent's graveyard. You want your Ghost Spell to be able to counter that. And yeah, this can also negate a call by the grave your opponent might have. Ghost Spell, very versatile card, and I am main decking this one. I also have 2 Nibiru the Primal Being. Your opponents are doing a lot of summoning, and there are games against, especially in, I think in tier elements even, and even sprites, they were even able to play through Nibiru. Alright, so Nibiru, it can also be a small world target, but Nibiru is in here because, again, your opponent's doing a lot of special summoning. And we have 1 Link Infra Flyer. You can special summon this card from your hand to your zone, a Link monster points to, but you're really using this as a small world target to get to your Mathmech Circular. Speaking of which, we have Small World. Small World is really, really good in this deck. You have multiple targets like Link Infra Flyer and Effect Veiler to get to the Mathmech cards you need. So if you don't have Small World, some good substitutes can be maybe Triple Tactics Talent, maybe you add the Psi frame hand traps in here possibly. But Small World, I think, is very, very important. We have 3 SciNet Mining. Again, another searcher, obviously, in a SciNet strategy. And who knows, maybe you drew your Mathmech Sigma and you can discard it to search. Mathmech Equation, it's another special summon piece. It's basically just a monster reborn for Mathmechs. We have 2 Pot of Desires. Now, I'm back and forth on this one. If you want to replace this with maybe a card like Forbidden Droplet, which isn't bad in this deck, or Triple Tactics Talent, you can, but I kind of like the draw power. Plus, not everyone has a card like Forbidden Droplet and things like that, but this is one of those cards that is kind of replaceable depending on how you feel the matchup can go. This card you can definitely slide out for something in here like a Dark Ruler No More, or a Ghost Spell, or D-Barrier, or even Rivalry of Warlords. But I like Pot of Desires in the main deck because you're running 3 of your monsters at 3, or 4 of your monsters at 3, and only 1 of them at 2, and then these 2 single guys, which if you banish your multiplication and Nablo, it's not the biggest deal. Foolish Burial, this is specifically for your Mathmech Sigma, Call by the Grave, and then 2 Mathmech Super Factorial. Let's talk about this card for a second. Super Mathmech, Mathmech Super Factorial is crazy. First of all, it's extremely searchable, so it's very likely you're going to have this card in your hand at some point at the end of your turn that you can set. Now, you activate this card and you special summon 3 Mathmech cards, or Mathmech monsters from your grave, and then you can use those as material for Synchro or Xyz. Now, the card you use this with is Prime Mathmech Laplacian, because this card can send, not destroy or target, it sends 1 random card from your opponent's hand to the graveyard, 1 monster your opponent controls to the graveyard, and 1 spell trap your opponent controls to the graveyard. This little combo here can really ruin your opponent's day, and a lot of times I like to save this until my opponent used a lot of resources for their big fusion summon or their big Link or Xyz summon. Alright, because again, the Laplacian doesn't target, so it can deal with those cards. It also can mess with their hand and a field spell. Let's say they're playing with the 1 field spell for Tearlament. This can deal with that. Alright, and a lot of times your opponent isn't seeing it coming. So, Mathmech Super Factorial in combination with Laplacian is one of the biggest blowout plays in this deck, and you're going to want to take advantage of it. Alright, so that is the main deck. Going on to the extra deck, very important aspect of this deck here. We have Geomathmech Final Sigma. This is, kind of a card that can wipe out your opponent. You want to make sure it can get into the extra monster zone, because the battle damage it inflicts to your opponent is doubled, which is very good. If this card is destroyed by battle, or this card in its owner's possession is destroyed by an opponent's card effect, you can add 1 Mathmech card from your deck to your hand. So Geomathmech Final Sigma, very good. He's not that hard to make. It's not that hard to get this many Mathmech bodies onto the field. Next, we have Prime Mathmech Limburtian. So basically what this guy does is you use, it depends on how many materials you have on there. Most of the times to start the game off, they're going to use 2 materials. If you use 2, you just add any Mathmech card from your deck to your hand. Really good. You use it to add any of your Mathmech monsters or your Super Factorial if you don't have it. Very, very good card. You can also tribute 1 monster onto the field and special summon 1 level 4 Mathmech monster from your hand or graveyard. Alright, and you're going to see in a second exactly how that works. We talked about Prime Mathmech Laplacian already. Next, we get into the Cyberse linked monsters. We have Link Disciple, and we have Link Devotee, 2 Link ones that co-link with each other. Now, if you use Prime Mathmech Albertian to tribute the Link Devotee, okay, and it's co-linked to your Link Disciple, you tribute the Devotee, then special summon 2 Link tokens. Alright, which is very good, which again will go into some more Link climbing plays. So it works very well in tandem with the Prime Mathmech. We have Lingaribo and Splash Mage, and Cyberse Wicked, which is a very, very good card. It can't be destroyed by battle or card effects. Cyberse monsters this card points to can't be destroyed by card effects. Very good. So make sure you're paying attention to the arrows it has there. If a monster is special summoned to a zone this card points to while you control this monster, banish one Cyberse monster from your graveyard and add one Cyberse tuner from your deck to your hand. Cyberse Wicked, very, very good card in this deck. We have Update Jammer, Transcode Talker, and Decode Talker Heat Soul as well. And then we're going into IP Masquerena, which you are going to use in your turn 1, which can eventually lead into an Appaloosa. A lot of times you get a 2400 Appaloosa, so you do get a decent amount of negates off of that, and then an Access Code Talker to end the game. For our side deck, we have Token Collector, Ghost Ogre, and Snow Rabbit. Dark Ruler No More, I know people are maining Dark Ruler No More, but I don't know yet. Maybe I'll main it, but I kind of like how this main deck is right now. Obviously, if you decide it based on the matchup, then go for it. 2 Lightning Storm, 2 Cosmic Cyclone, the Harpy's Feather Duster, 2 Dimensional Barrier. It's very obvious why this is in here. And 2 Rivalry of Warlords. Each player can only control 1 type of monster. The 99% of this deck is Cyberse monsters, so that shouldn't really affect you at all. So, this is my Mathmech deck profile, and we're going to take a look to see how it goes. Alright, so we're going up against a pretty tough deck, Punk Tearlament Branded. It's a 60 card deck, and we are going second. We lost the coin toss on this one, and we have a Nibiru that we're going to hold on to see if our opponent goes past the Nibiru threshold here. Yeah, they're just kind of doing whatever they want here. They have the Branded Fusion, they have the Super Poly, they have the Punk cards, they have the Tearlament Field Spell cards. I mean, pretty crazy considering it's a 60 card deck. So here we go. They're going to summon their card. We're going to Nibiru, clear the field. But guess what? Because it's Yu-Gi-Oh! In today's world, they can just play right through it. And boom, they get their Lubellion on the field. They have their Aluber on the field. Our Nibiru's gone. It's almost like it never even happened. Pretty crazy. And look at this board. So here we go. And that's the frame driver from when I had the size in here. So we small world bridge, get the circular. We're going to special summon the circular, activate the Sigma, special summon the Sigma. We're going to add the equation. We're going to exceed for the Prime Mathmech, but then we're going to summon Diameter, activate Diameter. We're going to special summon circular, link Devotee, activate Disciple, activate Prime Mathmech. We're going to get our tokens onto the field. And then we're going to link off for Wicked, link off for Lingaribo. We're going to get our Search. We're going to link off for Splash Maze. We're going to Equation. We have our 3000 beater. We have our addition onto the field, 4000. They can't deal with it. And look at that. We took down Tearlament. Alright, here we go. We want to go first. Oh, okay. Activate Synapse Mining. Might regret that. We'll see. DD Crow, we're going to get our Circular. Activate Circular. We're going to send Sigma. Special summon the Circular. Activate the Sigma, the special summon the Sigma, which triggers the Circular. And now we can add, let's just add Equation. Okay, so now we can exceed these two together to make our Alambertium, which triggers once it hits the field. We're going to detach 2 materials, our Circular and our Sigma. And then we're going to add a Mathmech Diameter, which is going to be our normal summon. So normal summon Diameter. Diameter activates. And we're going to special summon Circular from the graveyard. Pretty kind of typical line in this deck. Now we get into some link climbing. We have Link Disciple. Boom. And then we have Link Devotee. Link Devotee is going to trigger when it hits the field. So now we can trigger it, or tribute it off with the Prime Mathmech. And now we are going to be able to special summon a Circular. And now we're also going to get 2 tokens from the Devotee, because when we tributed it, it was co-linked. So we get that fun little effect as well. Let's see, our opponent has anything. I don't know if we crossed the Nibiru threshold yet. We'll see. We have Wicked. We have Lingaribo. We're going to activate Wicked. We're going to banish the Disciple, so we do get a search. We're going to add a Diameter for next turn. We are also going to link these off. And we should be okay for right now. And let's see what our opponent has. We have hand traps. We're going to be able to get our Appaloosa. Ooh, Magical Meltdown. We're going to Ash that. And then we're going to activate Masquerena. We're going to get our Appaloosa out. So now we have more negates. Triple Tactics Talent. Ooh. I wonder what they're going to do. They're going to draw 2. Ultimate Slayer. Oh boy. Alright, that's not good. That's not good. We have our Super Factorial though. Ooh, okay, so this is going to be funny. So we're going to activate Super Factorial. We're going to special summon these 3. Pray to God. But we have Haunted Mansion to negate it. And let's go! Yeah, there is no way. Oh my gosh, that's funny. So there you go. That's Mathmech. And look, is this the best deck in the format? No. Can this deck steal some games? Yes, it can. And this deck can top at events. We'll have to see how it goes at the larger scale events, but I have a lot of faith in this deck, and I've been having a lot of fun with it. So hopefully you can too. It's not the most expensive deck in the world, but it still is a little pricey. But yeah, so that was Mathmech. I hope you enjoyed the deck profile, and I'll see you on the next one. Later.